Hi everyone and welcome to your Vipers for this week at home. Oof, that was a bit scary. Why do you think there is a crocodile coming in our video today? Well done, you guessed it, Yuan. Our topic for this term is all about reptiles and things. So, you've been learning a story, The Enormous Crocodile in English. So what I'm going to do with you today is I'm going to read the story, The Selfish Crocodile, to you. Okay, but before we begin, we are going to look at some questions. Okay, so I'm just going to show you my screen so you can see what I see. So remember, with our Vipers, we are looking for vocabulary, inferring, predicting, explaining, retrieving, and sequencing. Okay, so let's have a look for today. So from looking at the cover of the book, we are going to retrieve some information. Who is the author and illustrator? And what kind of text do you think this is? I would like you to tell somebody in your home this information. So let's look at the book cover. What do you think this story is going to be about? We are going to use the terminology from last week. I think this because. You could also use I predict, because we use predictions as well when we do science. So you might want to learn that the word too. So you've already made your predictions now. I'm going to read the blurb for you, which is at the back of our book. So you can see here, it's at the back of the book. And that tells us some information before we start to read. So every morning, a very large crocodile shouts this selfish message. Stay away from my river! If you come in here, I'll eat you all. The animals in the forest don't know what to do. They are too afraid until one day they read on and discover how the animals find a way to solve the snappy dilemma. Okay, so would you want to read on and read this story? Do you still think your prediction is correct? So think back to what you just thought was going to happen in the story from looking at our cover. Do you still think the same? Or do you think something else is going to happen? So what I'm going to do now is we are going to be listening to the story. Okay, so I'm going to share my other screen with you. The Selfish Crocodile. Deep in the forest, in the river, lived a large crocodile. He was a very selfish crocodile. He didn't want any other creatures to drink or bathe in the river. He thought it was his river. Every day he shouted to the creatures of the forest, "Stay away from my river! It's my river. If you come in my river, I'll eat you all." So, how do you think he is feeling in this picture? Why do you think he is so angry? So there was no fish, no tadpoles, no frogs, no crabs, no crayfish in the river. All were afraid of the selfish crocodile. The forest creatures kept away from the river as well. Whenever they were thirsty, they went for miles to drink in the other rivers and streams. Every day, the crocodile lay on his great big back in the sun, picking his big, sharp teeth with a stick. But early one morning, the forest was awakened by a loud groaning sound. Something was in terrible pain. The creatures thought it was an animal caught by the crocodile. But he was lying on his big back, holding his swollen jaw, and he was crying real tears. Why do you think he is so sad? The creatures drew closer, but not too close. Some of the creatures felt sorry for the crocodile. "What's the matter with him?" asked a deer. "I don't know," said a squirrel. "Maybe he's going to die," chirped a bird. "If that happens, it'll be safe to go in the river," grunted a wild pig. You can see in the picture they're a bit confused. The animals thought about this. They hung from the branches, they hung from the vines, they buzzed in the air, and they shook their heads as they watched the great big crocodile in pain. No animal tried to help. Why do you think the animals would not help the crocodile? Suddenly, a little mouse appeared, sniffing the air. He ran along the crocodile's tail, then onto his tummy. The other creatures stared, so you can see him staring. "Look at that mouse," chattered a monkey. "He's either very brave or just mad." "He's going to be eaten for sure," says an iguana. The mouse crept along the crocodile's big neck and into his open mouth. There was a hush in the forest. I wonder what he's going to do. The mouse got hold of something and pulled and pulled and pulled. Then he put it on his shoulder and walked out of the crocodile's mouth. There was a loud cheer from the astonished creatures. "Hooray!" The crocodile sat up and said, "I don't feel any pain anymore. It's all gone." Then he saw the mouse, walking down his tummy, carrying an enormous crocodile tooth on his shoulder. "Your bad tooth was giving you the toothache," answered the mouse, turning around to face the now smiling crocodile. "Do you want it back?" "Oh, no, 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 get rid of it. And when you've done that, come back and I'll have a present for you." The mouse went and buried the bad tooth under a tree, and when he returned, the crocodile had a nice juicy nut waiting for him. As the crocodile watched the mouse eating the nut, he said to him, "You were very clever, getting rid of my toothache, and kind too. I am so grateful, but what shall I do if my toothache comes back?" "Don't worry, I'll help you take care of your teeth," answered the mouse, nibbling. Soon the crocodile and the mouse were the best of friends. So now that they are best of friends, let's see what happens next. And one day, the crocodile sent all the animals an invitation. "Please come to drink and bathe in the river. I won't hurt you. The river belongs to us all," he said. The creatures weren't afraid to drink and bathe in the river anymore. Although the crocodile was sometimes snappy, they grew to love him. As soon as the river was full of fish and tadpoles and crabs and crayfish, and they all lived happily in the jungle. That is the end of our story for today. What we are going to do is now answer some questions relating to what we have just listened to. So, the first is looking at vocabulary. So what does the term astonished mean in this sentence? The mouse got hold of something and pulled and pulled and pulled. Then he put it on his shoulder and walked out of the crocodile's mouth. There was a loud cheer from the astonished creatures. So what does astonished mean? The next question. What was the animals feeling when they are shouted at by the crocodile? And why do you think this? You can answer these by stopping the video, or you can just carry on and then answer them at the end. And then finally, here are the next few questions. So explain. Who is your favourite character and why? Retrieve. What happened when the mouse pulled out the crocodile's tooth? And then finally, what I'm going to ask you to do is to retell the story to your mummies or daddies or your brothers or sister. But if they are busy, you can tell one of your cuddly toys or your teddies at home. I want you to think about the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story, okay? And then finally, imagine you are the crocodile. How would you act towards the other animals? And can you draw your favourite character and describe it using adjectives? Can you use them in a sentence? That is the end of our learning for this week on our comprehension. When you are in school this week, make sure that we are keeping an eye for all of the enormous crocodiles around the school. Okay? Bye, you one.